Whoo, everybody. Well, we are here on the first ever Brands, Brains, and the Bottom Line. Here on the G.U.M Network, we have so much to share, but I'm here with our G.U.M contributor, Miss Aya Rose. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Shether. I'm so excited to be here today on hashtag B3 talking about brands, brains, and the bottom line.
That's right. There's so much to talk about. Everybody, I'm not sure if you are familiar with this, and I'm sure you are, but if you are not, the Remy Ma and Nicki Minaj beef. Okay?
Girl, it's been a week and Nicki Minaj finally decided to drop a response to Remy Ma's diss track from a week ago. I know everybody a week ago heard that 7 minutes of Shether that Remy Ma dropped. Finally, though, a week later, we got a response from Nicki.
Right.
What did you think about it?
You know what? Well, first of all, I would say that it seems like the two artists, and I'm going to go there and call, each one of the young ladies artists, okay?
Young ladies artists.
They're kind of in two different, one, I would say leagues, and then two, I would say almost like hemispheres, because Nicki and her peeps, or Barbs, talk about record sales and hits and charting and money and all of that. And of course with Remy, she is a battle rapper.
Right.
She raps from the heart, and I would dare to say she is hip hop.
She is.
Remy Ma is hip hop.
She definitely is. I mean, I think she definitely, from the perspective of time in the game, the things that she's done to date with some of the more organic rappers, meaning rappers that are from around the way.
Absolutely.
Remy Ma definitely has, I think, more credibility from that
absolutely.
perspective.
And you mentioned the interesting word, credibility. Well, first of all, let me just back up for a little bit. When I went back to, learn more about what was brewing between these two artists, I learned a lot, because a lot of times you do hear quote unquote, some artists who a lot of people may say are what you call not relevant, trying to come at or collaborate somebody that's quote unquote on to gain, some kind of like current relevance. And so for me, I was a Remy Ma fan back with Lean Back, the Terror Squad.
Right. Fat Joe.
And then so of course she went away for about 6.5 years, and she was incarcerated and all that. But from what I knew about Remy Ma, it didn't seem like she would try to use somebody else to make herself relevant. So I said, So I didn't really agree with that criticism that I had heard before I heard Shether. Okay. When I heard Shether and just did a little bit of background information, background research, I learned that allegedly Nicki Minaj was going around trying to blackball Remy Ma. In terms of saying that she was not going to show up if Remy Ma was invited places, trying to allegedly, pay off DJs and bribe DJs and provide services, or provide favors of various kinds, allegedly. And
keep it clean here.
Exactly.
On network. Use your imagination.
You see what I'm saying? Exactly. And so when I learned of that, I couldn't help but to think about instances that I've been through, even that I know people have been through, where folk try to blackmail them, folk try to blackball them. Correct. Blackball. And what's fascinating is that Nicki seems to go around acting like she's unbothered. Like, I'm in Paris and you a bum B.
Right.
And
I'm at all the shows.
Right. And there's a lot to that really rub me the wrong way. You a bum B, you a peasant. Why all the nasty and why all the haughtiness?
I don't know if Nicki, and in some respects, Nicki is definitely playing to the fact that beef is, and we all like to watch a train wreck.
Absolutely.
Right? So keeping a beef and some kind of argument brewing does bring attention to both of them.
True.
But with Nicki being right now the one who is, and I'm just going to use the word just for purposes of discussion, on top.
Sure.
Meaning she definitely has more shine in the game.
Sure.
I think that if picking a fight with Remy actually brings her more of the gritty credibility,
right,
then she would do it.
Absolutely.
At the same time, I think that you never know who's in whose camp,
right,
hyping up something that doesn't have
Absolutely.
to go there. So sometimes you have people in your circle that make things more than they need to be. I don't know necessarily if that's something that if Nicki was influenced by anyone in her camp that's telling her, hey, Remy Ma, she's trying to play in your space, there's not enough room for both of you.
Right.
You just never know.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is that, a lot of the female MCs, even from when rap and hip hop was first around, came from all male crews.
Exactly.
So you have whether it be a Terror Squad or Young Money or the Flavor Unit or any of those types of crews. I can go on and on and on, so please guys, look, don't take my hip hop card with me, but I can go on and on, but I'm not right now. My point is that, so you have a situation where, you can be the only female in an all-male crew, but remember a time when we had ladies' night. We had, where it was celebrating womanhood. So there's room enough for everybody, but people have your head gassed up like you're all that. Here's the thing. Hear me now. What's interesting is that some people feel like Nicki Minaj is a product, a corporate product. Whether it be the look. I remember there was some things said. Little Kim shared several years ago that she had a meeting with Birdman and allegedly, etc., and that she felt as though they had really kind of stolen some concepts,
right?
And that she had a sound. She says, "Listen, even if my people did not like the sound that I have, I was going to try something new." I shared the song, and the next thing I know, the situation that we were going to be together with doing something was pulled, and this new artist, Nicki Minaj, has a sound. And then you can look at the photo shoots, the looks, so whether it be Little Kim, whether it be Lady Gaga, these looks, first of all, we know that nobody owns a look, because you have Patti LaBelle and LaBelle, David Bowie, all those people kind of had that look. But in terms of recent history,
absolutely, in
terms of a female hip hop artist, it's undeniable. And I think that when you don't even admit the obvious, it's very disturbing.
Yeah, if Nicki Minaj comes out the gate being the Black Barbie and doesn't at least acknowledge the influence of a Lil' Kim, then you how seriously can you take that?
That's what I'm saying.
How seriously can you take that?
You're not about the obvious.
Clearly, she has to be influenced by Lil' Kim if she's calling herself a Barbie.
Clearly,
a Black Barbie.
And so what's so it's insulting.
Absolutely.
It's insulting. It's like if somebody at your job,
the game didn't start till you stepped on the floor.
Exactly. And then it's just a lack of respect. For those that came before you, who you are obviously emulating. And so, I've seen and read where she's talked about some of the artists that paved the way, and she's talked about Lauryn Hill. Well, Lauryn Hill is in a different category. First of all, Lauryn Hill is amazing.
And she should never compare her. Well, you said acknowledging, but
Lauryn Hill and Lady Gaga, she mentioned she was flattered by the comparison, Lady Gaga, but why avoid the elephant in the room?
Right.
No, boo. Right. Little Kim.
Right. Absolutely.
Little Kim. And even now, she had the outfit on in Paris.
The pasty.
Yeah. Well, she's like, well, this is what's this the artist's name? Goodness, I just figured it's an artist, but anyway, so Picasso.
Oh, right.
But everybody knows that in recent history, Lil' Kim had the pasty. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So again,
so even though some of your fans may not appreciate or be aware of the outfit that Lil' Kim had,
right?
But everybody else is. It's like, what universe are you living on? And it's just insulting.
I think that, and I'm not a hip hop expert, so I can't come at it from the perspective of talking about the actual bars, but from what I've read and seen, this isn't new for Nicki Minaj to take subtle jabs at Remy Ma over beats. Even since she initially came out in early 2000s, she was rapping over beats and saying very subtle things about the Queen.
Right.
And everybody, I guess they were, Remy Ma is known as the queen.
Absolutely.
So if you do that, taking that jab, I think, did she use that to get attention for herself?
Well, of course she did, because, it's kind of out of the handbook of, how to scrap and scrape and climb and nudge and bully your way to the top.
Yeah.
I mean, we can look at our current president and see that, and this is the thing. I mean, like I said, whether you've been blackballed or whatever, and you look at how some people make it to the top. Now, we're not talking about how if they can stay there, but certainly they can, stiff arm and bulldoze and connive their way to the top. And then you look at some of the corporate interests, and granted, I'm all for branding. I appreciate a good brand.
Right.
I appreciate a good branding strategy and all of that. But at the heart of it, you've got to have some substance. At the heart of it, you've got to have some type of artistic soul. And no, I've never been a humongous Nicki Minaj fan. I mean, there's some songs that I pump.
Right.
I pump. And of course, when you have a decade absence of a female star, but what's interesting about that is that it was like engineered. So you put on your radio and you're going to pump whatever's on most times. If it has a nice beat.
They play it 12 times a day.
Absolutely. And look, I fought for a long time. Even when she first came out, I was not necessarily familiar with her quote-unquote genius. I would see her and I just thought, okay, wow, she reminds me of Little Kim. Right. Yeah, because it isn't that I kind of come from an era. I think I'm still young now. But my point is, when I think about like hip hop, even thinking about when hip hop was kind of dominated by the East Coast and the West, I mean, I can appreciate it all.
Right.
I mean, whether it be Nas, whether it be Mobb Deep, you look at the West Coast Snoop, and Yo-Yo, any of those people, Ice Cube on the West Coast, Queen Latifah, MC8, I mean, you name it. I can appreciate it all, but I think that it seemed like there was a respect for the craft.
Absolutely.
And now it's like the only thing people focus on are the record sales and the quote unquote plaques. And then to my response to that, okay, well then why aren't we heralding Vanilla Ice? I mean, he got sales. I mean, so how far are we going to go with that argument about sales?
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean?
That makes a good point, because he definitely,
And I'm not hating on him.
Numbers or not,
right.
He didn't have the same credibility.
Right, exactly. Right. I mean, I'm not hating. Look, he has a great show on HGTV. I love Vanilla Ice. I'm not mad at him. He does homes. He does. He's a real estate flipper. I love his show.
Right.
Shout out to Vanilla Ice. Okay, that's my man's in them. I'm not mad at him. But I'm just saying, if you're looking at record sales only, then then you can say, okay, well then how does that work for that? And then you fast forward now in such a digital world when you're looking at streaming and downloads. I mean, people really underestimate the power and the force of corporate America, and that lots of this stuff, and I'm not taking anything away from the millions of fans that Nicki Minaj has, because they love her, they support her, and they support her by buying her stuff.
Absolutely.
So I'm not mad at that.
And going to her shows and
absolutely
wanting to emulate her style. But that's also a point as well, as, would we be giving Nicki Minaj all these accolades if she were walking around like Remy Ma? Remy Ma is not as, she's not putting all her goods on display in the same way that Nicki Minaj is. So let's talk about, a one-to-one comparison, stripping us of all of the accoutrements, all of the extras.
Absolutely.
And then what do people think?
And one thing about Remy Ma that I can appreciate, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm appreciating more and more Remy Ma's genius. And let me tell you why. She has a story.
Right.
There's a lot of substance there. She has a story. In fact, she has an inspirational story. If you look at her and Papoose, there's substance there. She had to go away for 6.5 years to leave her son.
Right.
Leave all that she did. And they were planning, a wedding. She left a lot.
Right.
On the back of that.
Yeah.
And just how her husband supported her.
Absolutely.
How oh my gosh. So, and even, how she came up in the streets, etc., battle rapping and all that. And so for somebody, again, even let me just kind of tangent for a second in terms of the battle rap. There was an instance where she talked about running into Foxy Brown and talked about perhaps battling or something like that. and I want to get this story right. But basically, Foxy allegedly had the viewpoint. Well, I don't battle. I make hits. So like I'm too good for that. But see, the reality is maybe she didn't want to get in the ring with her.
And at the same time,
do you see what I'm saying? I don't appreciate that.
That is one of the foundations.
That's what I'm saying.
And rap. So
right.
How legitimate, how real do you want to be if you are too good to do what is the very foundation of the culture?
Totally.
So that's actually one of my points, even with Nicki Minaj coming out 1 week, 2 weeks later.
Basically. Almost 2 weeks.
Almost 2 weeks later, she comes out with a very, very polished studio track.
Right. And we make hits and we dish you on it.
Yeah.
That's weak.
What I respect, and again, not a hip hop expert, but what really had me intrigued and listening to the track with Remy Ma was that she came with facts. She dropped information.
Yes, she did. For 7 minutes straight. No chorus, no hook, nothing.
And I don't know. I didn't hear Nicki. She
didn't respond to that. She responded to the second song.
Right, exactly.
When you say back to whack, so are you admitting that?
Are you acknowledging that everything in the first track was true and real?
And that it was tight.
Right.
And then she talks about you exposed your ghostwriter. So you're saying that somebody wrote Shether, and possibly people are saying Papoose. But then you're saying on the second song, so she exposed herself from not having, a ghostwriter. If you listen to any Remy Ma's freestyles, Remy Ma wrote that song Shether.
Right.
Because first of all, Papooses' style is just different. Okay.
His flow is different.
Okay. And when you hear some of her freestyle, even early on, she wrote that song. It was personal.
Right. It definitely sounded personal.
It
definitely sounded personal. If nothing else, there's definitely some animosity between the two of them, and she put all of that into that
I would
track.
say so because this is my thing.
I don't know what you did.
Oh my goodness.
Why you provoked her in that way?
Why? And when you look at certain eras in music or in business, and you think about those people who like top the charts and dominated for a long time, and whether it is changing music eras or shifting or shifts in demand or just taste or what have you, dynasties can fall. And I'm not hoping for that, but from what I have read and what I have heard, allegedly, there's a lot of pieces, a lot of I don't want to say turmoil, but just some situations within Young Money right now that just have room for concern. And I would never knock anybody's flow. I mean, I was never a huge Lil Wayne fan, but I appreciated what he was doing for music. I felt like he had a space. He totally had a space
for him.
Yeah, when you look in the annals of hip hop music, he's right there,
right,
and he'll be right there. But with Nicki Minaj, I feel like her career, her stardom, her rise to the top was a very strategic and calculated strategy, and I'm not mad at that. I mean, it's business.
Well, do you see Nicki Minaj as someone who her goal and strategy is to evolve beyond hip hop? So when you bring up Lil Wayne and what he's brought to the culture, to the hip hop culture, he's more than likely is going to stay in a certain space, mostly focused on the music, right?
Absolutely.
But do you see Nicki Minaj having goals and aspirations beyond the music?
You know what? That's a great question. And let me just kind of answer that in pieces. A Lil Wayne, and even Cash Money and all that, they seem to have kind of an entrepreneurial type of mindset. So maybe I could imagine them maybe going into movie production, what have you. But here's a piece about Nicki Minaj, from what I understand and what I've read and what I've heard, is that she may not be owning her own masters, and she's kind of like, I don't want to say an employee like it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is that I don't know if she's been set up to be empowered from a business standpoint to grow beyond it. So in other words, she might be having to wait on somebody to hire her for this or for that. I mean, it was apparently some type of ABC deal where there was going to be a sitcom about her life as an immigrant. She's from Trinidad.
Right.
And it was going to be kind of a sitcom kind of thing. Sounds great. Perhaps, cross promotional, cross business, what have you. But apparently she may have been not easy to deal with. Because here's the thing: when you're in a bubble like that, and people boast your head up,
do you see? Will make you believe that
right.
you can say anything.
So in creating this brand of Nicki Minaj, it may have also inadvertently, during the stages of development. I mean, she was probably she's like 34 now, so maybe in her early 20s. These are some kind of prime, still developmental stages as an artist.
Absolutely.
And that perhaps some of the maybe childishness or cattiness or just feeling like she's the queen bee. It's just right, just baked in the cake.
Yeah.
It's just part of the fabric of who she is now. When people are telling you're all that in a bag of chips, you're the best thing since sliced bread, and you believe it, and this is just kind of how you've been operating. Who have you pissed off, quite frankly, all these different years? And people, because some may feel that she is manufactured, feel like, well, we can manufacture somebody else.
Well,
we don't need you. It's like, bring in the next colorful girl.
Exactly.
Next, bring in the next mannequin.
Who also can already act.
Absolutely.
So, and what I'm saying is that when you are already not necessarily, I won't say first choice, but if they know they have to train you, if they know they have to bring you up to speed, plus you have an attitude,
absolutely,
and you're difficult to work with, you're right. It's almost easier to go pull something else off the shelf.
It's been done before.
And make it work.
It's been done before. I mean, you look at sitcoms and they're just straight take somebody off.
Let's talk about
and replace them. Oh, Aunt Viv, honey, Aunt Viv is not the one. Okay, there's Aunt Viv 1 and there's Aunt Viv 2, and they tried it.
And Aunt Viv 1
and they tried it,
and they were like, "We gonna go ahead and bring."
And it was a major mistake, though.
And but the show continued. That's what we.
You're right about it, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it took an adjustment for a moment, but what happened?
That's so true.
We could think of probably other instances.
Oh, I'm sure we could. I'm sure we could. And whether it had been a mistake or not, they did it. And like you said, the show still went on.
Yeah. That's not why the show ended.
You're absolutely right.
Right. So, yeah. I think that's actually a lesson for anybody, is that knowing that mostly we're not irreplaceable.
Absolutely.
Not in that way.
And especially depending on how her business model is set up.
Yeah.
They can replace her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some people are so hungry to be in this industry and perhaps they don't understand.
Yeah.
And they're grateful for the opportunity. They're grateful for the platform.
Too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Get their foot in the door.
Absolutely.
And use that opportunity to continue to advance themselves.
And we don't know really the inner workings of Cash Money and Young Money. We don't know all those different workings.
Yeah, because I wonder what, if to your point, she does not own the masters, or or she's not master of her own fate, meaning she doesn't get, majority, not ownership is not the word I want, but majority pay in terms of, any deals that she's involved in. Some people do 50-50 deals, if that.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I'm really hopeful that she's not being set up that way, or she hasn't been set up that way.
Well, here's the thing. Sometimes, people will pay you handsomely, but not nearly as much as they're making.
Of course.
And they'll give you money, but you don't really own anything.
Oh, yeah. I didn't watch the New Edition movie.
Right.
But I know that was a big theme in the movie.
Right. You would never imagine, right?
Right. Is that you guys have all this popularity, but no money.
Wow.
And so let that be a lesson, is
Absolutely.
always know how the deal is set up.
Absolutely.
So that if you're creating content, you
right.
want to own your content.
Absolutely.
And that's in anything. You can't create unless somebody else owns.
That's right. And I think it's a powerful, lesson in business. And so when I think about this whole situation, and one could say, well, wow, so much focus and attention is focused on Nicki Minaj. I would say yes, but also I would say that when you look at these last years of just such a vacuum and an absence of any other female artists, and really, quite frankly, alleged wrangling behind the scene to prevent any other female MC kind of really being in that space.
Yeah.
But
I definitely think there is space. I can listen to a Jay-Z, but at the same time, I might listen to Common. They're both artists. They're both creative in their own right, but they serve a different need. When I'm listening to Jay-Z, I want to hear something different.
Right. But see, they're men. But see, for women and a black woman,
we should
you're going to be the only one.
Yeah, but that should not be the case.
It shouldn't be.
That they have to be the only one. There should be room for that diversity of sound.
Right.
For women
I agree.
As well.
I totally agree with that. But they just took that money. I mean, they applied their street smarts, street sense, all that acumen, and roll with it.
And that just speaks to how women sometimes we interact with each other. Period. Anyway, is that we have some kind of jealousy, competition, insecurity.
Absolutely.
That's lingering within us that says, Sade, if you're successful, that means I can't be successful. So I don't want you to be successful.
I don't get that.
It does not make sense.
It does not make sense. And you can't do everything by yourself. So what delusion are people under to think that, I want to be the only one, but then that also means that I don't have the kind of support with other women. And you're going to need that.
Absolutely.
You're going to need that. You're going to need women to go to bat for you. We think about the spirit of collaboration and whatnot. But I just think this last decade, you think about music and art and all that, we kind of thought like the 90s was kind of like don't know what kind of, decade it is. If you think about it, what was on the radio, reality TV, and you have even big studios. I work for a studio, I won't mention the name, but they replaced a lot of their original programming with reality and as well as like old episodes and stuff. And so people just weren't willing to spend the money on really good original programming. Maybe it was the financial crisis, so people wanted that. People loved it.
That now because what they've actually done with that kind of approach or strategy, I think, is they've really diluted their own brands because now people. I can tell you that my niece, who's 8 years old, cares nothing about a television. She catches all of her content off of a YouTube, and other channels, other mechanisms like that. So if those brands and those big studio houses, to your point, took a step back and decided they didn't want to create original content, they put content creation where? In your hand and my hand.
That's so true. That's true.
And now they want to get back in the game. And that's why it's so difficult, I think, now. This is why people can cut the cord on cable.
You're right.
Because they're not watching those things that's on a cable network. If I want to watch a movie, I'm going to turn on my Netflix. I'm going to turn on my Amazon Prime. So, I know that the big studios are definitely trying to reinvent themselves and figure out which direction things are going. But it's interesting that you bring up that point that they made a conscious decision to scale back on content creation.
Yes, they did.
In the 90s.
Yes, they did.
Early 2000s, whatever the case may be. And save money on, probably, view themselves as saving money on talent.
On talent.
Okay, that's cool.
And even
now you have YouTube stars.
You're right.
That's bringing in $1 million.
Absolutely.
There's this one guy, and I know he actually got pulled from a deal that he was going to do with Disney, but he basically does voiceovers of himself playing video games.
Wow.
This kid, I can't remember his name, but there are kids that just watch him play video games and talk about playing the video game.
Absolutely. So he has specialized content.
Yes.
And what's interesting, and I'm wondering now, are we beginning to turn a corner? And when you look back at this beef between Remy Ma and Nicki Minaj, I think what's really exciting about it is that you kind of feel like there's a return to authentic hip hop. That people were hungry for bars, hungry for lyrics, hungry for like smart lyrics because of the sheer popularity. And I think some people just want to see, this is going to sound terrible, they just got sick of the fake fluff.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and say Nicki Minaj is fake fluff, but I think what's annoying her fans, she killed him. I'm looking like, where? Really? I'm just like,
the Nicki Hive comes for you.
I'm just like, I like the beat, and to a certain extent, before I kind of learned allegedly some of her ways, I liked her spunk.
Right.
I thought she was comical. Like I liked how she would change her voice around. I thought it was creative.
Yeah.
And I thought she was entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean, funny.
I think her.
She was
initially came
comedy
out,
value
she
there
had
too.
That out there persona. She was wearing spacesuits and all of that stuff. And like you said, doing different things with her voice. I thought that was sick. I thought that was great. But she definitely has become more mainstream in recent years. And to her, well, I won't say credit, but that's definitely helped bring forward her success. No one was trying to dress like a girl in a spacesuit, but everybody knows Nicki Minaj now is Black Barbie, right?
Absolutely.
So that definitely took some strategy and some people behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, they were very
her,
strategic about it.
Exactly, being strategic about it. That works for her, but at the same time, just acknowledge.
You have to do that.
You just have to acknowledge
the obvious.
You doing your thing and saying, "Well, this is where I am now."
Right.
We're all as artists allowed to evolve and grow, but don't act like you came up with it.
That's the insulting piece.
So that's the part.
Because clearly, I mean, down to like cover art, down to posing, down to the wigs. I mean, all that, everything.
We've seen it before.
Yeah. And to me, I felt like it wasn't a long, long time ago.
Right.
I mean, it really wasn't. I mean, you look at Little Kim and the locks and all that, and it's just like, wait a minute.
It's been 20 years, though.
I know, time flies, right? But like the green wigs, all that.
Right. We saw the green wig.
Yeah.
We saw purple wig.
Yeah.
Purple,
pink, everything.
Kim. Yeah. So
it's nothing new. And so it's like, I really wish she would respect like people outside of her fan base as well, because I think like her fans, some people have called her fans airheads. I would never say that, but I would say like sometimes the rhetoric that you hear from her fans, it's like they don't even respect, like, well, she deals in sales, but see, this is not about sales. This is about the integrity of your craft. And I think that is insulting.
So because then, if you make it a numbers game only,
right.
It's not about, to your point, how the quality of your work.
Like, don't bastardize the music simply
that came before.
Exactly. You can't do that. Like, yes, it's important to have a track that will be played in the clubs. You can, will have a lot of airplay, but allegedly, she's strong-arming people to not have Remy Ma or somebody else, or perhaps to be the only female MC. So what's up with that?
Right.
I mean,
like we said, there's room for everybody.
Absolutely.
Women supporting women is what I would prefer. Before, I heard it was a friendly competition. Obviously, that friendship is gone.
Right. Right.
But I do think that unfortunately, I think that Remy Ma needs some people behind her that helps her to get beyond the battle rap if she wants to take this opportunity and use it as a launching pad for something more. Like I said, unfortunately, Nicki Minaj is in a better position right now to turn this to her advantage. And so I would like for for someone to put some thought behind Remy Ma's strategy and help her to make this something meaningful that helps her on a long-term basis. You know what though? I think her and Papoose have a book coming out, Black Love. Okay. That's going to be hot. Of course, she's on Love and Hip Hop. Yep. You have that. And, she does talk about real issues. I know that her and her husband did experience an unfortunate miscarriage. And just to kind of talk about like infertility and whatnot. And oftentimes like Black women we're always seen so strong, which we are. But that's a real need to just kind of have these conversations. Absolutely. And I think for her, her message, if you will, is so much more than hip hop, and she left her son for 6.5 years, and those types of issues. And so hopefully she will be able to really organize it. And of course, she's just talented. And I think hopefully what this situation will do is force people to go back and look at the body of work of a Remy Ma. Yeah. And like for me, I'm really appreciating
much more her brilliance. When you go and listen to some of her freestyle, like she's just so smart. Like the double entendres and the hooks and
the enunciation.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm having more of an appreciation for her as an artist and just for a well-read mind. I can appreciate somebody that's a well-read who's smart.
I think that's something that definitely happened as a result of her coming out with this track, is that it brought attention back to her. And people say, oh, that's right. I do like Remy Ma. I remember her from XYZ Day. Let me, tune my ear in to hear what she's going to do next.
Absolutely.
Let me know I want to know what projects she has in the queue, and let me focus on it. So that's good. That's a plus.
Even just really appreciating her aesthetic. I mean, this beautiful, deep brown, beautiful woman.
Yep.
And just seeing her shine and just seeing quote unquote where she comes from. And, you want to support someone like that. And especially when you have somebody who is calling her a peasant, like that's ugly. It's not necessary.
It's so not necessary.
And it's just so much projection in that. Like, so you have no frauds, but people kind of say that, well, Nicki, honey, sweetie pie, boo boo, honey, you might not want to call her no fraud. I'm just saying. Now, I think you're cute. I think you're very unique. Well, I think she's cute. She's cute. Nicki Minaj is very pretty. I think there's talent there. I think she's a good entertainer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you look at, like I said, the body of work and what it means, and even some of her songs, like, with like anthem bass or what have you, but then some of her alleged actions kind of counteract that. I heard that she's allegedly not that nice to people, even like with Mariah and all that. Like, how are you going to try to come at Mariah? I know Mariah can be a bit of a diva.
Heard about what Mariah said.
What did Mariah say?
I thought Mariah was like she'd never met her or something. Mariah was cool that I never met you in a minute.
No, she didn't.
or was it that when they were on American Idol, Nicki, I guess, kind of expressed to her, oh, I'm a huge fan, and Mariah kind of gave her, okay, thank you, like very chill, like.
You tried it. Okay.
So,
got you.
Yeah, so I think she got her feelings hurt.
Oh.
Her feelings were hurt.
Okay. I see. That's interesting. So, I mean,
But if that happened to her, that should tell you that much more, that you don't treat people that way.
Absolutely. And, and that's could point to a maturity issue.
Absolutely.
And you just want to see grown people act grown. You want to see people really be confident in who they are. I mean, when you think about what is your contribution to the industry, to the craft, to womanhood, I don't have to tear you down. I want to create a space because, I mean, come on now, let's be real. If I create that space while I'm hot and you do the same thing when you're hot, we're going to always work.
Yeah, you're really, really giving her too much credit. Or you're giving people too much credit in that regard, because I think that's a very much enlightened person who has the benefit of reflection and has the benefit of supreme gratitude.
And I have a fork in my ear.
Right, and now people who are telling you, well, you better than this. You're not better than this. So I think that what you described and wanting to be a support system for other women is the ideal, but it takes a very enlightened woman in the field of entertainment, which is already dog eat dog.
Absolutely.
For someone to look at it that way, I think.
Sure, no.
I think.
I see your point. I see your point in that. Absolutely.
It's unfortunate.
Right.
But even what is the guy that hired Puffy and now works for Puffy?
Why am I going to confuse this man's name? Bentley?
No. He's a record executive.
Record executive?
He worked with Babyface at first. They started LaFace, right?
So was it one of the guys? What do you mean?
Yeah.
So was it?
But anyway,
L.A. Reid?
Andre Harrell.
Oh, Andre Harrell. Oh yeah, Andre Harrell.
He basically explained about, why there was even the need for a LaFace Records and how he pulled together TLC and all the other, the other groups. And if the big labels already had a black group, they weren't bringing another black group. If they already had, a Whitney Houston, they didn't need a Deborah Cox. You know what I mean? So this is how we started,
right?
And why other labels were started. So certainly
Absolutely.
that sense of competition between two women,
sure,
they felt that because the larger labels were telling them that
absolutely,
we already have an act like you. We can't bring another
that's
act
so
like
true.
you on board. So that's unfortunate, but that's the reality of what it's like to be in that industry.
Absolutely, very true.
As people of color,
absolutely,
we have one of you. We don't need two of you. We can't market two of you.
That's
we don't know what to do with the other one. So that's probably part of some of the anxiety and why you feel so insecure with your role. Oh, someone's coming for your spot, and people are always looking for the next hot new thing.
Absolutely.
There's that concern. I don't know that she necessarily has to be concerned about that, but that's that concern sometimes.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see where her brand, and how they use this to craft the next few steps, because what the Remy Ma just did was shed light, and I think form new questions at least. But of course, word has it that Remy Ma and Papoose are coming out with another response. And personally, I think Shether, listen, first of all, I wish they would totally clear that Shether soundtrack, music, that beat, and just re-release that. That's what I would work on.
Yeah, I don't want to hear any more diss tracks from her because they're not getting better.
I know.
But I heard part of the second one.
Someone said that was a bait. Someone said, I was doing my research and said that perhaps that was a bait. And also, two things. One, that it could have been. Also, shout out to, real quick, let me see, is a phenomenal podcast. I just want to say that I heard this fantastic analysis, and that is Thought Crimes. Thought Crimes, shout out to you guys. If you guys are watching or listening, you guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. You guys are like crazy off the hook. And thank you for your thoughtful, insightful analysis. But they were saying that perhaps that second diss was one of two things. Perhaps a straight message to Nicki Minaj, like this is not even about bars. This is I'm telling you to your face. I'm letting you know, if you keep on coming out with this nonsense, I got something on you. Right. And then two, that perhaps it may have been some type of bait. Okay, because it did get her out of her.
Finally, she was
exactly. So maybe, but I think the issue, again, I don't know about this part, but because Drake got on the track, and so Papoose as being, a man, said, listen,
he gotta come in.
Right, exactly, because at first it was like, well, we're going to let the women handle their business. Right. So who knows, but have you seen the cover art for that?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's fierce.
Really?
If you look up, guys, and we're looking this up right now, I'm sharing this with my co-host right now, the Culture Vulture. Yes, the cover art. It's like three, I guess, here we go. Let's look for it. Like three vultures, I guess. And when I tell you that I love the cover art, and, why I am, I don't want to use the word excited, but just during this time when you think about real art, artistic, I mean, what a creative cover. Do you look at this cover right here?
Oh, wow.
Culture vultures. And what that possibly could mean. Culture vultures. I mean, when you look at somebody who some may say is kind of like a fraud. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But look at that. I love the cover.
Fix a flat.
Oh, I know, right? Girl, yes.
Wow.
I mean, I think it's very creative.
Absolutely.
It's very creative. So I don't know if this is real or not. Perhaps by the time this comes out, I don't know. But so it'll be interesting to see if this is true, if it's not true, and what the song would sound like. Now, make sure, I was looking for, as I was kind of looking to see if the track was out, there's like a song that somebody had posted up, and it is not the diss track, guys, of Papoose and Remy Ma. It's actually a 5-year-old song. Somebody put it up there, and it was like, oh, this is the diss song. It was weak. No, somebody put up the cover art of Culture Vulture and put a song with it like 5 years ago, Papoose and Remy Ma. I'm like, that's not it. That's an old song. But anyway, so we shall see. But guys, we thank you for listening. Please leave your comments below. We want to hear what you all think, okay? And of course, keep it productive. Keep it, what's the word? Constructive, guys.
Right.
We want this to be a constructive experience for all of us as we dissect and delve into these issues here. But no doubt these women will hopefully be successful it will continue to be successful. And I hope that everyone realizes this is, although personal, but entertainment, and that, there's no violence or anything like that. I heard somebody got beat up. Somebody said some nonsense.
Please
but
don't take it to the streets over this. Right, not over this.
Right.
It's not that deep for them. They might, it's all, diss tracks. I don't think that they're going to take it there.
Right. So guys, this is Brands, Brains, and the Bottom Line here on the G.U.M Network. I am your girl, Sade Dennis, and I'm here with
Aya Rhodes.
So we thank you for joining us, and stay tuned. We're going to be doing these on a regular, maybe weekly, every 2 weeks. We shall see, but check us out. Of course, we are on Facebook and YouTube. Facebook is facebook.com G.U.M Network. Our site is www.thegumnetwork.com. Or check our YouTube page out, which is G.U.M Network Now. So until next time, we'll see you on the flip side.